Our panel have also echoed or supported Mahua Moitra's claim, slamming the chairman or in effect the entire proceedings that have transpired. Now, the ethics panel chief, Vinod Sonkar, rebuffed those charges made. So let's just take a look at what are the statements that have come from either side. So the opposition has claimed, and particularly Mahua Moitra has claimed, that unethical, personal and filthy questions were asked by the chairman to her. The panel chief has rebutted by saying that actually it was Mahua Moitra who was extremely aggressive during the meeting and even used foul language or unparliamentary language. The opposition has gone on to say that it was only the panel chairman that was asking questions. They have taken offence to that. While the panel chief, Vinod Sonkar, has said that Mahua and all other opposition MPs are the ones who were actually misbehaving during this meeting. And of course, both can only be taken at their word right now. Let's take a quick recap though of what this case is. What is the charge against Mahua Moitra and what is the response from her so far? And she has responded in public, so we are going by that. The first charge, and this is the one that is directly linked to the ethics panel, that Mahua Moitra shared her login details of the Lok Sabha portal with businessman Darshan Hiranandani. Mahua's defense very openly in public has been that MPs often give their login details to others, and this is not a strange practice. This is certainly not a matter of breach either of national security or of ethics. The second charge is that gifts or cash were exchanged or received by Mahua to ask these questions in Parliament. Mahua's defense in this case also has been that so far no evidence has been provided. There is no money trail to prove that there was any quid pro quo. Finally, the charge is that she conspired to protect the interest of a said businessman, in this case Hiranandani, while attacking another businessman. Mahua says that there is no connection to the questions that she has asked in Parliament and Darshan Hiranandani, who she calls a personal friend, his interests. So that's where this case stands. The question though that we are asking is, forget all the drama, forget everything else that could happen outside of the Parliamentary Ethics Committee. Right now, can Mahua Moitra evade the ethics question? And of course, later comes what happens with his parliament, with her parliamentaryship. We'll take that to our guests in just a bit.
Asking all sorts of filthy questions. All the MPs are here.
In the ethics committee, unethical questions were being asked from a lady member.
And you're saying that the chairman asked these questions?
Yes.
आपने कहा कि दर्शन हीरानंदानी ने नहीं किया, पीए ने किया, आपने खुद स्टेटमेंट दिया है। तो क्या एथिक्स कमेटी को ये पूछने का अधिकार नहीं है किससे आपने ड्राफ्ट कराया, फोन नंबर क्या है, कॉल डिटेल क्या है?
Hello, Moto.
Let me first go across to my colleague Payal Mehta, who's joining us. She was tracking this meeting, and Payal, it has certainly had a very stormy session and a stormy, end. We saw those visuals where both Mahua Moitra and Danish Ali and others seem to be extremely enraged in what transpired inside. Vinod Sonkar has also come out and spoken to the media. But could you tell us, via sources and otherwise, what are you learning or what exactly happened? What is each side saying?
Well, when Mahua was being cross-questioned, and Shivani, like you were saying earlier, that, the questions are pertaining to her login and the travel details were in. So Mahua Moitra walked out on the grounds, supported by Danish Ali and the others, saying that, my privacy was being breached and I was being made uncomfortable. But the questions that were being asked, according to the sources present in the meeting, were to do with the case as well. Now, there are multiple breaches that Mahua Moitra has really done over here. The BJP MPs allege that she walked out of the meeting abusing Vinod Sonkar, and the BJP, mind you, will make a massive issue out of this, given the fact that Vinod Sonkar is an SC MP on one front. Secondly, when Mahua Moitra walked out of the meeting, she is not there as a member of parliament. She's not a member of the committee. She had walked out even though she was made a witness in that case. So can a witness walk out on the committee? Can she do that? Certainly, that's another breach that she's committed, and we're given to understand that possibly that can also be a punishable offence as well. So what started in the morning was the meeting when she gave her deposition, and even then she was giving her entire history about her association with Jay Anand. Even then, some MPs pointed out and told her that why are you giving so many details, which is not required. This is not a family court, is what one MP told her. But she said that these details were important. So when you are counter questioned on the details, then why would you call it personal? So that's been the argument. So the committee is very, very sure of what they want to do from here on. They'll possibly call for a meeting sometime next week, draft a report and adopt that drafted report, submit it to the Lok Sabha Speaker and then take it forward. And when the winter session of Parliament commences, Shivani, on the first day you will see a motion being moved. Now the motion is generally moved by the leader of the Lok Sabha, which in this case is the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, or the Deputy Leader, which is Rajnath Singh. So obviously they'll be moving a motion to disqualify her. Again, there are two things to look at. The Ethics Committee can only disqualify her, Shivani, but when it comes to other actions, with the fact that they're looking at money trail, etc., it will be important to see if in its wisdom the committee decides to refer it to an outside agency. That will again be further trouble for Mahua Moitra, but the way in which she's really gone about the entire thing, there's bound to be action against her, because you can't walk out of a committee where you have been summoned as a witness.
I just wanted to clarify one thing. When you say that the committee might recommend disqualification, will that be on the grounds that she walked away and she misbehaved as they're alleging, or on the original charges that she's facing?
It's going to be on the original charges that she was summoned in this committee because there were complaints that were received against her for having done financial and otherwise impropriety and have violated the ethical code that is, of course, a mandate of the parliamentarians. That by allowing somebody to use your login ID from an overseas location has been a breach. The papers have been circulated to the members in terms of what the IT report was, what the Home Ministry has said, and of course the certification of the affidavit of Darshan Hiranandani, which is of course been certified by the External Affairs Ministry. So these are the charges on which she really be pushed for. And the committee had earlier also said, Shivani, that once these three witnesses are deposed before the committee will take a call and make its report. So no further witnesses will be summoned anymore, is what I'm given to understand. And as far as Mahua's walking out of the committee meeting is concerned, that's going to be a separate matter. That's going to be pursued separately. And also what I'm given to understand that possibly some members of Parliament from the BJP will also move a breach of privilege motion against Danish Ali, Mahua and the others, in particular against Mahua for having abused the chairman, and also abused the SCMP.
All right. Payal Mehta, thanks a lot for joining us with all of those details. Let's see how this progresses, but certainly getting from bad to worse. Let's also open this up for our guests joining us. Priyanka Tibrewal of the BJP is with us. Tehseen Poonawalla, political analyst, leans towards the Congress party. Tushar Gupta, senior editor, Swarajya. And we're also expecting one more guest to joining us. Tehseen, let me begin with you. I'm sure you must have seen what has transpired. It is getting from bad to worse. I'm not sure, on whom the blame can be pinned at this stage. But this only compounds Mahua Moitra's problems, walking out and, as alleged, abusing, quote-unquote, the panel chief, whatever your grouse may be.
No, this abusing, quote-unquote, then she'll say that she was personally insulted. That's also quote-unquote. All that is within the parliamentary committee. None of us have any privy to that. So I think that's unfair. There are two questions that need to be asked. Point number one. What is this cash that Mahua Moitra has written? Now, if the basis of this complaint is that letter by Hiranandani or that affidavit by submissive Hiranandani was so dominated, the two very pertinent questions that nobody is asking is, if Hiranandani is so submissive to be dominated by Mahua Moitra and he wrote this letter in that same letter which is now gossipal, why is the cash component not written? And what constitutes expensive gifts? As per Mahua Moitra, it's 2 lipsticks. Mr. Hiranandani says some expensive gifts. He's not specified. So what are these expensive gifts?
You're missing the point. Actually, as far as the ethics question is concerned and the ethics panel is concerned, they're not really judging this because they're not the authority to do so. They're fundamentally looking at the basic question of whether as a parliamentarian you should have given out your login and password to an independent third party. That independent third party being a businessman in this case who allegedly has accessed your account sitting overseas. Tehseen, that's the fundamental question Mahua Moitra faces in front of this agency. The other questions may come in front of other agencies.
So that particular question, again, that's a very grey area. Should she have given her password? My personal opinion, no. But where is the illegality? Everybody is giving their password to everybody.
But that's why I'm saying this is not an illegal issue. It's an ethical issue as a parliamentarian. And this panel has the right to determine whether you have breached that ethical boundary or you have demeaned the house by your actions. It's not always about legal or illegal.
That's true. So they will look at it as ethically, but ethically others are also giving it to their OSDs and their PAs.
But there's
to
a
everybody.
difference, no,
Now
Tessie?
there's a massive difference. I agree with you. Now there's a massive difference in giving it to your OSD and PA. I completely concede to that point. Completely concede to that point. Then giving it to submissive Hiranandani, who's so submissive that if some other Chinese person would have asked him for the password, he would have given it, and the system could have been. I completely agree to that. But I've read these rules of the parliament very, very, very carefully, and no rule has been framed that makes it a legal issue. But as far as morality is concerned,
not even morality. Don't bring morality into this.
I agree
Pure
with
ethics.
You. No, ethics
as
and
a
morality.
parliamentarian, not even as a person.
Ethics and morality. Now, morality is Hema Malini was endorsing a water brand and she was asking questions. So that I'm taking, she was a thing. So I agree with you. That question is very serious and Parliament needs to draft rules. But the legality of it so far, I have not been.
But then what explains, at least my colleague was reporting earlier, that Mahua Moitra herself has made this about a jilted ex-partner, right?
Yeah, that's
precisely her premise, and by her own words, nobody else has done that. In fact, mostly we've dealt with these stories as completely two different episodes, one of the dog concern and the custody battle and what has transpired otherwise. She has made it repeatedly about the fact that this is an ex-jilted lover with an axe to grind. And then you cannot be uncomfortable when questions get asked either on your conversations or your calls. I'm not sure what filthy question was asked today, but of course you'll have to provide for those details. Walking out of a panel like this, you know, it robs you of your chance to defend yourself. Taseen, very quickly before I open this up.
So I'm not her legal advisor, but I think one thing that Mahua is guilty of, and I've told this publicly and her, is choosing the wrong friends. I think she's completely guilty. If this ex of hers had such an officer of the court and has so much respect for the law, while his then girlfriend was doing wrong things, he should have gone to the court and complained. He's today going to the court.
Did that person make Mahua Moitra give out her login and password?
That is precisely the point. If today he's coming out and saying this password was given, these expensive gifts were taken, while he's an officer of the court, he should have given it. Now, when the relationship is over in an acrimonious way, he suddenly become Mr. Gossip.
You're not getting the point I'm making. This is fundamentally not interesting to any of us. This is, this is not what we want to focus on. We just want to focus on, as a parliamentarian, did you share your password or
there's one who can have a conversation. So allow me, I get your point. You asked me the question of Jay. I didn't go on Jay's question. Since you asked me, allow me my way of rebuttal.
I didn't ask you a question on Jay. I said walking out of the panel like this.
No, you said she's brought her ex.
Yeah, she did.
Here the record.
That's a matter of, that's a statement of fact.
Correct. Allow me to rebut that statement of fact.
Go ahead, quickly.
Thanks. So I would have finished by now. Let me be very brief on two issues. That this ex of hers, who has an acrimonious relationship and today is witness to all the wrongs she did, does not make him Mr. Clean. If he was in a relationship and she was doing something wrong, he was duty bound to report it to the court. So he's not smelling of roses. He's hanging out with Nishikant Dubey, who's in this committee. Number two, I agree and I concede on the point of ethics and morality, yet I don't feel there is the legality issue so far, but it is stupid and ridiculous to give your password to anybody in Dubai, especially to submissive Hiranandani.
Okay, let BJP's Priyanka Tibrewal come in. Tausif Khan, lawyer and political analyst, leans towards the TMC, is also joining us. Priyanka Tibrewal, this is also becoming a bit of a problem for BJP. I say this only because, if you have a parliamentarian being called into an ethics committee meeting like this, and I understand that she's not an MP when she's presented before this panel, but there has to be some sort of sensitivity with which all issues have to be dealt with. Now, if Mahua Moitra is making a very serious charge that quote-unquote filthy questions were asked of her, that is a problem.
Shivani, I'll answer to that, but let me also tell you the allegations which you are giving now on BJP. You are saying that BJP is becoming a problem for BJP.
Because it seems like this is a case that is being pursued, particularly by the BJP. I think we
Shivani,
can say that.
Allow me, when you have questioned me, allow me to answer.
Okay.
So this committee is the ethics committee, and it is not only comprised of BJP. There are opposition parties also, and opposition parties, MPs also, who are part of this committee or member of this committee. Now today madam goes and she feels that very unethical and filthy questions have been asked. It is nothing. It is just a tactic to evade whatever questions were being asked today, because she doesn't have answers to them. Now see, what could be more filthy? From the very first day, as a spokesperson of BJP, I have been saying, madam, we are not interested in your personal life. We are not interested in your ex-boyfriend, the jilted relationship, the tilted relationship. But it is she who is continuously saying that, no, there has been acrimony in the relationship. She wants to speak about this.
Okay.
So what more the committee would have asked her? They would have asked her about the gifts. That is what I'm assuming, because I do not know what questions have been asked. They would have moreover, they could have asked her about, her 18 times visiting Dubai unprofessionally without any professional work. Moreover, about the sharing in of login ID and password and the gifts which she has got and her relationship with Mr. Hiranandani. And moreover, like Mr. Tausin was saying, everyone, many other people and the OSD and the secretaries, they have login ID and password. So is Hiranandani the OSD of Mahua Moitra? No. Are his office workers the OSD or secretary or PA to Mahua Moitra? No. So why was it shared? That is the main question. Now she's saying that they were asking me why I was speaking to whom in the night. Of course, when the questions were placed, when it was, logged in from Dubai, they will ask that at what time, with whom you have discussed, with which questions. Now she feels it is very unethical. It is not ethical to share your login ID and password, but this is very filthy if the truth is asked to you, because truth is uncomfortable. That is the only reason.
Okay,
See, look at her body language,
frankly,
look at her behavior.
No, frankly, we don't know what actually transpired. Like I said, we have to take each side on its word and we have to wait and see. I'm not sure of what kind of minutes of the meeting are preserved as far as this panel is concerned. I'm sure there would be some, but whether, all parties can agree to what the minutes of the meetings are going to be, etc., I'm not so sure.
But you look at her body language, that only proves. She was
but you
showing
can't,
big eyes to the media.
Priyanka,
Red
you
eyes,
can't
red
vilify
wings.
somebody for their body language, no?
No, that is what I'm saying. Look at the kind of arrogance which she was holding. And what has the media done to her? What has the media done to her? Media was simply asking what happened inside. Why so much of anger? Why so much of arrogance? Robert Pinto ko itna gussa kyun aata hai bhai?
Tausif, let me bring you in. The first question is today, the manner in which she has walked out, the manner in which they have spoken after walking out, aggression and, arrogance being shown doesn't behoove an MP, especially one who's facing such grave issues and charges. Tausif, first on that question, what transpired today?
Come on, Shivani, we are not talking about school children. She's not a class 6 student. She must behave in a way the principal asks her to. She is a member of parliament representing a constituency, representative of people, and she's a lawmaker. She's there to make the law. Now, you people, this whole BJP brigade, it's so absurd. They only sound like a bunch of jealous people who cannot stand a lady carrying a Hermes product, carrying a Louis Vuitton product, and now they have brought all these charges. Where did she get all these expensive stuff from? And Mahua Moitra has already answered all those questions, that she was earning huge money before she became a parliamentarian.
No, but fundamentally, Tausif, that's not the charge against her, where her wealth comes from. The charge is made by two associates of hers only who have said that she received it via this businessman. The BJP has only shot off somebody else's shoulder in this case.
No, initially the charge was she has taken bribe for asking questions to help a businessman. For the past 4 or 5 days, since the affidavit of Hiranandani could not really, specifically establish the charge has now shifted to, unethically sharing the login password and accessing the parliament website from outside country. Now, this is something which has to be looked into within the framework of NIC or within the framework of...
This was the charge from the very beginning. This was the charge from the very beginning. I'm sorry, you are wrong, Tausif.
Please do not interrupt me.
No, you cannot just blatantly lie on the national television.
You can speak.
The charge was from the very beginning that this is a matter in regard to the national security about the login ID and password.
Okay.
Do not interrupt me.
Don't twist
not
words.
Hear me out, please.
Okay, let him finish.
Please, yes. You see, I will again repeat. A bunch of people jealous of someone's lifestyle. Anyway, see whether or not there has been any offence has to be looked into within the four wall corner framework laid down by the NIC or by the rules applicable for parliamentarian.
Yes,
whether
but Tausif,
it is allowed.
I come to the fundamental question I am asking today. So you're coming back to the question I am asking today. Ethically, the question is, should she have given out her password and login to people who are not her staff On top of that, they turn out to be independent business entities who could have their own interests. She has accepted that much in public domain, that yes, she did so. Now, can you evade your ethical responsibility when you've admitted to it? It's no longer a question of if this happened. She's accepted to it. Is this right for a parliamentarian to do? And is it okay to divert from that fundamental question by saying, oh, everybody else is also saying, no, everybody else is not doing this. People may share it with their staff, with authorized people in their office. They're not doing it with independent business entities.
Shivani, you see, whenever we are judging someone on whether it was ethical or not to share the login password, you have to also look into what access you get when you enter into the system. Does the access, and what was the purpose? What was it used for? If it is only limited to a small purpose of typing in the questions for the purpose of asking these questions, which
can I ask
generally
you a question,
I
get your point.
In favor of Hiranandani.
It is available in public domain.
No, I get your point. Priyanka, I'll allow you a rebuttal. I'll allow you a rebuttal. But 1 second.
Compromise on the confidential information. That is the measure you will use to test the whether it is ethical or not to share.
No, but that's exactly the point. Ethical does not depend on what could have happened. If the portal was hacked or not, that's not the ethical question here. The ethical question is purely the fact that as a parliamentarian, you gave your login and password to a business person to type in the questions on your behalf. My question is, are you short of staff? As a parliamentarian, you get so much money, salary, to run your office. No. What is the need for you to depend on Darshan Hiranandani's staff to type in your questions? What is the justification of that?
That is a question which Mahua Moitra herself has to answer and has to answer before the ethics committee.
So that is the question I'm asking.
What we are saying.
Whether she is justified in using the login password the way she has used, and whether that has caused any harm to the
but that the ethics panel will decide. The ethics panel's precise job is to decipher, to come to an agreement if a parliamentarian has lowered the dignity of parliament. They don't decide on legal issues alone, they decide on ethical issues. There is a privilege committee that may come into effect for other offences that Mahua Moitra may be accused of. Tushar Gupta has been waiting patiently. Tushar, this is becoming one of those battles now. It seems like neither side is going to give an inch. And what has transpired in the meeting today certainly goes on to now possibly suggests it's put paid as far as this hearing is concerned, this panel is concerned. I don't think the two parties will see eye to eye anymore.
Yeah, look, Mahua Moitra walked out with very high tempers, which are sort of inversely proportional to her credibility at this point. But she said there were personal questions asked. No one is interested in Mahua Moitra's personal life. Not the BJP, not the journalists, not the media, not even the ethics committee. But in this specific case, unfortunately for Mahua Moitra, there's a strong overlap between her personal life and professional life. So there would be some questions about the people she was friends with, about the kind of details she was sharing with them. And I'm surprised Tehseen and Tauseef are here trivializing the issue of the passwords being shared, though Tehseen agrees that it shouldn't be shared. But here's the thing, when you talk about the purpose of sharing a password and the questions being posted, on whose behalf was those questions being posted? On what policy matters? To which parliamentarians were those questions directed? And the businessman Hiranandani's in affidavit has said that there were specific questions asked pertaining to the RBI policy, towards MSME policies, towards energy policies. So the purpose of sharing the credentials was not just alone to post the questions. It was to draw out certain information pertaining to certain industries. That is the problem. Also about the gifts, even though that's beyond the ethics committee right now. But Shivani, a parliamentarian is not supposed to receive gifts of more than rupees 5,000. They're supposed to report what they have received. Now, I'm pretty sure, I don't know Louis Vuitton so well, but I'm pretty sure a bag of that costs far too great than that cost. So
no, she has not said she has received any bags. From what I remember, she said that only as a personal gift she has received a Hermes scarf. But because Hiranandani was a personal friend of hers.
No, but the MPs are in no position to receive gifts that cost more than rupees 5,000 from independent business entities. Look, there are parliamentarians, there are certain responsibilities. There is a code of conduct. In 2005, and there is a precedent for it. In 2005, the Ethics Committee recommended expelling one MP because of the same situation, that there was an evidence that cash was taken for questions to be posted before the parliament. So Mahua Moitra, by coming out and saying, oh, I've been asked unethical questions, private questions, I'm sorry, but there is a strong overlap between the two in this case, and there would be tough questions she would have to answer, if not before the Ethics Committee, before the law enforcement agencies then.
Yes, Tehseen, very quickly, I have 30 seconds only. Tehseen, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, the question of ethics, I completely get that, and Tushar, you and I are on the same page. But the problem out here is there is no illegality. If something would have caused national security loss, it hasn't. She shared it. It's stupid. I'm not even saying it's unethical. I'm saying it's absolutely stupid and ridiculous to do it. It's not the same as sharing it to OSD, but nothing happened. Now, because I did something stupid, could have led to something bad as a narrative. It didn't happen, therefore the illegality is not committed. On the part of the gifts, Hiranandani's affidavit, if that is gospel, then Hiranandani does not say he's given those gifts in lieu of questions, because then, criminally, if Mahua Moitra is at fault, as
then
Tushar
he's guilty too.
Hiranandani
I get that.
is equally guilty.
Yes, I get that. Yes. Priyanka, 30 seconds, please. Final 30 seconds.
See, you cannot prove your innocence by screaming. And this is what is happening. Mahua Moitra is trying to do her best, but she knows that she is guilty of doing something. That's the reason TMC is not defending her. Because they know that there is merit in all the allegations which have been made. And there is enough evidence, and how it will be proved that whatever she has done. That is the reason that she's screaming all the way. We are not hearing anything from any TMC official spokesperson in this regard. Now, why? Because whatever she has done is clear in the eyes of law. Now, as Tehseen is saying that, that there's nothing illegal, this is so stupid, nothing has happened. So what were you expecting? That something should have gone wrong? Something should have gone wrong with the national security? And then only we would have discussed that why things have gone wrong? No, there are ethics. You are chosen as parliamentarians by people. You are elected. You are supposed to ask questions on their behalf, not for businessmen, by taking something from those businessmen.
No, that is an ethical question that is certainly over Mahua Moitra's head, along with sharing the password and login. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. But speaking of that ethical question, the questions that Mahua Moitra is facing purely on grounds of ethics, I also want to go across to our special guest, PDT Achari, former Secretary General, Lok Sabha. Mr. Achari, thanks a lot for speaking to us. Do you believe the question of whether the parliamentary login was shared or not with a third person is an important ethical query that Mahua Moitra will eventually have to answer and be held responsible for?
Actually, the main question that has been raised is whether she has received money for putting questions in Parliament. If that is proved, then it is a serious matter. Then it is a question of it's a case of corruption, and also it's a case of breach of privilege of the House. Because if a member takes money for putting questions in Parliament or doing other parliamentary work, that is a very serious breach of privilege of the House and contempt of the House. And then, if that is the case, then it has to be dealt with by the Privileges Committee of Lok Sabha.
Right.
Because it is their domain. Breach of privilege is dealt with by that committee only. And that committee alone has the mandate to deal with a case of breach of privilege. Now, if that is not there, then the other issue is whether a member can share
the password and
the login details and password and all that with somebody for asking questions. That means for online questioning, whether that is ethical or unethical. Now, that needs to be looked into by this committee, and it has to take a view on that. But I must say that the Lok Sabha rules are silent on the way in which the online submission of questions should be done and so on.
Right.
Earlier, the rule was that a member has to sign a question form on which the question will be put, will be written, and the member's signature was very necessary. for the office to check the veracity of this, was we have to ensure that the member has actually put this question, or the member owns this question.
Right.
But when this online submission started, the Lok Sabha has not framed any rule to regulate it. So in the absence of the rules, it is very difficult to say whether sharing of this password and other details with someone else is an unethical thing
or not.
is against the rules and so on.
No, I'm glad you brought up the rules part, because it has also come to public light that this NIC login that every parliamentarian is given, one of the first do's and don'ts of that form is that you're not supposed to share your password and login with anybody. You have to keep it a secret. Would that not function as a rule, or if not as a rule, at least as an advisory to parliamentarians?
Well, that needs to be looked into by the committee. That is precisely perhaps what the committee is looking into. They have to take a view on that. So I can't say anything. It is before the committee. So it is not proper for me to make any comment on what the committee will do. It is up to them to take a view on that. But I am saying that the Lok Sabha rules are silent on this. Because this submission of questions is governed by Lok Sabha rules. And so, if there is no rule, then of course, what should be done will be decided by this committee.
The Ethics Committee. Okay. I do want to ask you, the Ethics Committee, does it have the power to recommend not just a suspension, but also a disqualification of the said MP? Because there's a little bit of confusion on this, on what happens depending on what they decide. And can they decide to disqualify the said MP?
Well, the committee, if it finds that a person, a member of parliament is guilty of unethical conduct, then the committee can suggest certain punishment. After all, parliamentary committees are all recommendatory bodies. The committee as such cannot punish anybody. The committee will make a recommendation to the House. And if the House accepts it, then of course that person will stand punished. The committee can suggest suspension, admonition, reprimand, and these are some of the types of punishments which are provided for. But it cannot suggest the expulsion of a member, because expulsion of a member, takes place when normally the Privileges Committee suggests it, or any special committee with a special mandate suggests it. Ethics Committee, I don't think, has the mandate to suggest expulsion of a member from Parliament. It can suggest suspension, because all the cases which have been decided by the Ethics Committee show that it has suggested only the suspension.
Right. Okay. So that's an important issue to look at, that they can only recommend a suspension, not even go to the extent of a disqualification or an expulsion. What really happens to Mahua Moitra remains a question. A big thanks to PDT Achari for joining us. But we're slipping into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you the other big political war of words that broke out today. Arvind Kejriwal, Delhi Chief Minister, skipped the summons in the Delhi Liquorgate probe issued by the ED. But the question now arises is, how long can he continue to do so?
Hello, Moto.
That we are legally looking at the option of making Aam Aadmi Party a party in the charge sheet, because the ultimate beneficiary, the proceeds of the crime went into the party coffer, and that was utilized allegedly to fight the elections in Goa and perhaps in Punjab also. So the first question for Kejriwal would be, is he aware that the party of which he is the national convener, that party's coffers were receiving ill-gotten money from this alleged corruption? That will be question number one, point number one, that Kejriwal will be asked to clarify. Point number two could be, why is it that in various conversations with the accused, for example, Mr. Nair, who's a key accused, who's an aide of Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Sisodia, multiple witnesses have confirmed that Mr. Nair in his conversation, FaceTime conversations, have connected accused of Indo-Spirit, Sameer Mahindru, with Mr. Kejriwal, where Arvind Kejriwal said that Nair was his man, Vijay Nair was his man. So why did he say so? Was he aware that Vijay Nair was negotiating with the South Group and promising them that in lieu of money, hundreds of crores, the policy of Delhi liquor will be tweaked? Was Mr. Kejriwal aware of that? The third thing is that some witnesses have quoted, in the case of Amandeep Dahal, another accused in this case, it has been said by the Enforcement Directorate that Arvind Kejriwal at one point said that 100 crore is required by the Aam Aadmi Party to fight the elections. Did he say this? Did this 100 crore actually get to the party coffers via the liquor policy change route? So these are questions that the ED's investigating officer wants Mr. Kejriwal to answer. There are fresh leads that have emerged from questioning of Aam Aadmi Party's Rajya Sabha MP Sanjay Singh and his aides also. Plus Arvind Kejriwal's own close, aides like Birla, like Jasmine Shah, they have been questioned and there are leads that ED has received from there as well. So they do want to know from Mr. Kejriwal as to what all did he know about the way this policy was formulated, being tweaked. What did he know about the way the cabinet note was prepared? What did he know about the South Group meeting the senior leaders of the Aam Aadmi Party? Aam Aadmi Party politically is preparing, it seems, for arrest of Arvind Kejriwal. If the Chief Minister gets arrested, who would fill in? Already Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh are in jail. Most of the portfolios are with Atishi and Saurabh Bhardwaj. If Mr. Kejriwal also is taken into custody, what is the way ahead for Aam Aadmi Party? The party is already making a political hue and cry. The Enforcement Directorate for now is keeping its cards very close to its chest. The Enforcement Directorate's countdown for Arvind Kejriwal has begun. The Enforcement Directorate wants to question Arvind Kejriwal in the Delhi excise policy scam. November 22nd, post 11 a.m. is the time that has been given. But will he, won't he? That suspense remains. Now, Arvind Kejriwal is scheduled to be in Madhya Pradesh, Singrauli, to address an election rally. And he could be accompanied by Bhagwant Mann, the Chief Minister of Punjab. The current schedule, as we have been told by sources, is that Bhagwant Mann is arriving in Delhi tomorrow morning, and as per the schedule, Arvind Kejriwal and Bhagwant Mann are to take a flight to Varanasi and from there onwards to Singrauli. And that is what they have informed the Enforcement Directorate, that because this is a pre-scheduled election engagement, elections are due in Madhya Pradesh on the 17th, they are campaigning for...
Welcome back. The other big story of the day, Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal skipped the ED summon in Liquorgate probe and campaigned in poll-bound Madhya Pradesh Singrauli instead. Earlier in April this year, Kejriwal was questioned by the CBI in connection with this case. He alleged today, though, that the summons were issued at the behest of the BJP and were politically motivated. AAP netas went on a spree of media briefings and alleged vendetta by the Saffron Party. On the other hand, the BJP called Kejriwal kingpin of Delhi liquor policy scam, and that's why they allege he's running away from the probe. Remember, Aam Aadmi Party's two top faces, Manish Sisodia and Sanjay Singh, are already arrested in this case. The Aam Aadmi Party is claiming that the BJP is planning to arrest Kejriwal next. Take a look at some of the allegations or the charges, the attacks that Arvind Kejriwal has made in a letter to the ED, where he informed them that he will be skipping the summons today. So first up, he has claimed that these summons were leaked to the BJP leaders to malign his image. These summons have been issued for extraneous considerations. He goes on to say that these summons are illegal and politically motivated, that they have been sent to him at the behest of the BJP and nothing else. And he also said that these summons appear to be a fishing and roving inquiry, or the fact that he's being asked to come for questioning is a fishing and roving inquiry. Now, the interesting question here is, what can happen next? How long can someone continue to evade the summons that have been issued by an agency like the ED or the CBI? Now, as per practice, and this is just a norm, there are usually 3 summons that are issued by the probing agency, the ED in this case. If a person still doesn't appear after these 3 chances, the ED can get an NBW, which is a non-bailable warrant issued against that person. Interesting to note here that Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren has skipped 5 summons so far, and no action has been taken against him by the agency so far. Now, there is also, of course, a difference of time limit for different kinds of people being called. So, of course, the time limits that will be given to somebody who's a witness is going to be different than the time limit that will be given to the person who's the accused in a case. And it is likely that those who are not accused will get more leeway. In this case, remember, Arvind Kejriwal is also wondering whether he's being called as an accused or as a witness. And that seems to be the fundamental question that a lot of leaders are raising against ED, for example. The big political question also is, in political eye, how long can you be seen as avoiding questioning in a probe that is a matter of policy under your government with you as the Chief Minister? So the question we take to our guest next is, can the Chief Minister avoid questioning in this matter? Let's go across to our guest joining us. RP Singh is national spokesperson of the BJP, Nitin Tyagi, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Nitin Tyagi, let me take that straight question to you first up. Arvind Kejriwal is the CM. He was the CM when the liquor policy was drafted, executed, taken back. Should he not have some responsibility, some accountability to come and explain the happenings around this liquor policy now that the minister concerned at that time, Manish Sisodia, has been in jail for over 8 months? Nitin Tyagi, that question was for you.
Well,
yes, sir, if you can hear me, go ahead.
can you please repeat the question? I did not get it.
I'm saying
missed
the
out.
Chief Minister
Yeah, I
was in
missed out a
charge of
couple
the
of lines.
cabinet when the policy was drafted, executed and recalled. The minister concerned from that time, Manish
Definitely.
Sisodia, is in jail without bail for several months. What is the point of saying that this
Yes.
is political vendetta against me? You were the Chief Minister. Should you not appear before the agencies to answer their question?
See, yes, actually the confusion right now is in what capacity has the BJP summoned Arvind Kejriwal? No, not BJP, I'm sorry. ED summoned Arvind Kejriwal ji. This is the confusion, whether he's been summoned as a witness or a common man or a Delhi Chief Minister or an accused or a suspect or convener of Aam Aadmi Party. There's a lot of confusion that they should make it clear. Or BJP has issued this summon. I'm sorry again. ED has issued this summon that let's call him and then we'll decide what to do with him. So there's a lot of confusion. This is what he has asked. There's nothing wrong with that.
But
And they will ask
one second, when he was called for the CBI probe, CBI questioning, at that time
Yeah.
also he was not an accused. So he went for that. What's
They
the problem now?
definitely asked him. They asked him about the policy. They
Yeah.
questioned him about the policy, and right now he is well within his legal rights to ask them at least. In what capacity are you asking me to come and appear before ED? Suddenly,
But
you
that's
are
the question
doing
I'm
it.
asking you, na, Nitin Tyagi. He was the Chief Minister.
This is what
He's
I'm
the
asking.
AAP
This is what I'm
convener.
asking. What does exactly
The policy
BJP
was
want to
drafted
ask
by the
him?
Delhi government with
See,
him as the Chief Minister.
definitely it
The
was drafted
alleged
by the
quid
Delhi
pro
government.
quo was for
It was
party
passed by
funding,
the-
of
it
which
was
he is the
passed by
national
the
convener.
BJP LG.
Politically
It was
speaking,
passed by the
shouldn't you
BJP
present
LG.
yourself and answer the questions?
It was passed by the BJP LG. It was drafted by Delhi government. It was passed by the BJP LG. So right now, why does BJP want him to come to ED and question? In what capacity do they want him to come? He should come prepared.
Okay, you mentioned the BJP LG, forget the BJP charge, but you certainly cannot now, after raising so many questions against the LG of how the LG is not the leader or the elected leader in national capital, pin the blame for the policy on the LG.
So who passed the policy ultimately?
No, but the policy wasn't drafted by him.
The policy was passed by the LG. He is not being questioned.
But it wasn't drafted by him.
I'm suddenly a bit puzzled. I mean, sorry to say that I don't know. There's some confusion. I think LG passed it. He knew about the policy. Everything he knew about the policy. He has not been questioned at all. He actually passed.
But
He
Nitin
passes
Tyagi,
everything.
he's not
So
the
you did
person
not-
who
you-
drafted
nobody
the
has
policy.
pointed it out,
He's not
with
the
LG.
person
So this
who
is what I'm
tweaked the
asking.
policy. You yourself have been running a campaign against the Delhi LG to say that the LG has no powers to tell us what to
Absolutely.
do.
Why-
But now when
why
something
not-
goes
why not
awry,
include him
now
also?
when something
Why not
becomes
include
an
him
albatross
also?
around
Why
your
not
neck,
include him
you say
also?
hold the
I have
LG
never
responsible.
I have never heard any single channel questioning why did the center government tweak the PMLA provision where the person accused is supposed to prove his innocence.
No, everybody has asked that question. What do you mean nobody has asked that question?
Accuse anybody. See, BJP can accuse anybody of anything.
Nitin Tyagi, one second. First of all, I don't know why you're going across in all strands. As far as the PMLA, sections are concerned, they have been questioned, they have been debated. The Supreme Court has opined on them.
But no. But you are not making it clear that a person accused has to first prove his innocence, even before the case is being conducted.
Sir, what does that have to do with Mr. Kejriwal not appearing for his summons?
So I am answering you. Kejriwal asked a simple question: in what capacity do you want me to come?
Okay.
He asked ED. Although BJP is answering on behalf of ED, this is why I am again and again saying this summon was not from ED; it was from BJP.
It was from BJP. That is the charge, RP Singh, that Arvind Kejriwal has also made in his letter. That ultimately it smacks of political vendetta, that you have been wanting to snare Arvind Kejriwal for a very long time, and you're building this case through the ministers to the chief minister ultimately.
Well, Shivani, Arvind Kejriwal is his own judge. He orders ED now today that withdraw my summons. Who are you to issue me summons? And he is a law himself. I mean, he is law unto himself. He conducted his own court. He accepted his own evidence, passes his own judgment. What he did with Sisodia and Sanjay Singh. I have seen the document. I have seen everything. Everything is clean. Everything is good. And they should be given Bharat Ratna. They shouldn't be sent to jail. I mean, he has already passed judgment. That's what Kejriwal is. I mean, that's the character of Kejriwal. And सबसे कट्टर ईमानदार हम हैं. I mean, court तो बेकार है. Who's court to even have an opinion about us? I mean, who's court to even reject our bails? I mean, I should grant the bail. That's how Kejriwal perceives the judicial process or the complete constitutional process.
Arvind Singh ji, have you started stand-up comedy also?
Sir, Nitin ji, मैंने आपको टोका नहीं. नितिन भाई टोका नहीं मैंने आपको. अच्छी बात नहीं. ये नितिन भाई अच्छी बात नहीं. मैंने टोका नहीं आपको, एक बार भी नहीं टोका. मैं आपको 10 बार टोक सकता था. आपको 10 बार टोक सकता था जब आप बीजेपी कर रहे थे. आप जब गाना गा रहे थे तो मैं आपको टोक सकता था. मैंने टोका नहीं आपको. प्लीज.
When does Arvind Kejriwal talk about giving bail, and when does Arvind Kejriwal say that he doesn't believe in court and everything?
Arvind Kejriwal gave Bharat Ratna to Manish Sisodia. He said Manish Sisodia should be given Bharat Ratna. He said I have seen the document of Manish Sisodia. सब साफ है, सब ठीक है. He said. You remember that Tomar guy? You remember that Tomar? He said, "Oh, I have seen the papers of Tomar. Tomar की degree ठीक है. Tomar is clean. Tomar is honest. The guy who raped a woman on the name of ration card. Oh no. The CV is false. That CV is fake. That man is cutting ईमानदार. He has not raped any woman. But that's the track record of Kejriwal. I'm just telling you the track record of Kejriwal. He gives a clean check to every corrupt, every dishonest, every person who raped, every person who fabricated degrees. He gives them clean check. He regarded Bharat Ratna. That's what the track record of Kejriwal. No, he's saying, ED, that who are you to summon me? How can you summon me? That's what is happening. The court will decide on it. Don't bother. Court will decide on it.
You are lying. You tell me you are lying or not. Absolutely you are lying. BJP, see what your party has made you do.
Sir, court said that Mr. Sisodia is the architect of the complete liquor scam. And there are approvers now. Vijay, your guy Vijay is the approver in this, and there are other approvers who have said on record, yes, Mr. Sisodia and Mr. Kejriwal were present. It happened with the consent of Mr. Kejriwal.
One second.
They are on record.
Gentlemen, I will have to intervene because beyond the point, I cannot have both of you speaking over each other. Also, Nitin Tyagi, you got your opportunity. You will have to be patient and hear Mr. RP Singh out. Yes, Mr. RP Singh, please finish your point. The question though I asked you, sir, just 1 second, sir. The question I asked you though, this fundamentally the Aam Aadmi Party's charge is, and it is the charge of most opposition parties today, that a lot of these summons are vindictive in nature. They are to derive political benefits. They are to, punish political opponents, even though there is no case against them in many of these proceedings. Please.
Well, they tried their best to get bail. Court rejected the bail. Court said, pursue this matter, finalize this matter in 6-7 months. Court has rather given time for 6-7 months for ED to produce all documents. There are approvers on record who have said on record, yes, we paid money. There are people who were caught red-handed in elections. They said, yes, money has come from Delhi. In Gujarat election, the guy named Rajinder Solanki was caught with this boy red-handed. He said, "Ye ladka mera nahi, ye driver nahi hai. This is a appointed guy from the Delhi who is a conduit for money." from the Aam Aadmi Party, so that all that liquor money was used to contest elections in Punjab, in Goa, in Gujarat. I mean, and that is on record. It's not me who's saying that. But Mr. Kejriwal is very fast and good at issuing certificates, character certificates, and even saying that give them Bharat Ratna. I still remember, if I write the name of the MLA was Sandeep. Oh, he is not raped. He is not raped on, for asking for ration card. Oh, he's a clean guy. This video is nakli. I mean, that's what he said. That Tomar guy, he said, "Uska degree fake nahi hai."
One second. Let's not get diverted to other issues. Let's not get one second. Let's not get diverted to other issues. Nitin Tyagi, please hold your horses, please. Let's not get diverted to other issues. I'm not interested in discussing other cases. But a question should be asked, and Mr. R.P. Singh did allude to this. You know, in public realm, you cannot tell an agency in a case like this, where you were the chief minister when the policy was drafted, executed and recalled, and your ministers are in jail or whatever, they are being looked into, some of them have been charge sheeted. You cannot just say, please recall this summon. He has said in his letter today, this summon is vague and motivated, and therefore please recall it. I don't understand how the Aam Aadmi Party can for months and months. Sir, let me finish my question. I don't understand how the Aam Aadmi Party for months and months can say, do what you want against us, we will do everything, we will go through all processes, we will come before you, if you summon us, we will go to jail also. And then the chief minister gets a summon, he says, please withdraw this.
Absolutely.
So he's about the judiciary, he's about the law.
So let him answer. Let him answer.
BJP want me to appear? In what capacity? He simply asked, in what capacity does BJP want him to attend this proceeding?
Okay.
This is
so tomorrow the ED, I just want a statement. If tomorrow the ED was to clarify in what capacity he'll go.
Cleverly.
In what capacity does ED want him to
Okay,
appear?
so that's the question I'm asking you, Mr. Tyagi. If tomorrow the second summons comes. Okay, so if tomorrow a second summon is issued, in that summon it is clarified we want you to come as the AAP convener, or we want you to come as the Delhi chief minister, or we want you to come as an independent whatever witness to these meetings, alleged meetings that have come up in charge sheets via other witnesses and accused and approvers to explain your presence there, then he will come.
Maybe you should draft this summon yourself.
It's common sense.
Where do you say
you're doing better job.
See, you're not answering my question. I'm reading of the letter he has issued to the ED, whether I have been called as an AAP convener or as the chief minister or as an individual or as a common person. So tomorrow, Mr. Tyagi, you cannot deflect from this question. If tomorrow the ED was to clarify this, will Mr. Arvind Kejriwal come?
Definitely. If BJP drafts it, the ED drafts it properly and there is no lacunas attached to it, definitely he should come.
Okay. So there is no legal lacuna, RP Singh. What explains the charges of political vendetta and, the ED being motivated then? If it was only a legal issue, there could have been a legal letter. The lawyers could have done the bidding.
Well, you could understand what Nitin is doing now. He is trying to deflect from the core issue of the corruption. He is trying to brand it as BJP is doing it. Fact is that they tried their best in Sanjay Singh's case, they tried their best in Manish Sisodia's case, they tried their best in Satendra Jain's case.
Is not enough.
Court has rejected their bail plea. Court has turned down their bail plea. They could have gone to the court and asked for the question the case.
No, that's fine.
The reason is very clear that they court.
One second. Bail may have been rejected so far, but nobody has been pronounced guilty either.
That they are involved in the matter.
But Mr. RP Singh, if bail has been denied to some individuals, that does not mean they've been declared guilty either. Trials are yet to begin.
No, because court primarily feels that yes, man is involved. Otherwise,
they are going by what the ED's case is, sir. That's not a proof of guilt at this stage.
Bail is the first right.
That's not the proof of guilt at this stage. Of course, it has been a setback for our leaders to not get bail.
Court find merit in that. That's
why. That's why.
Court find merits in what the ED is saying.
Okay.
And that's why
Arvind Kejriwal, at least today, did not find any merit in the ED summons. We'll wait and see if the ED clarifies in what capacity they want him to appear and if the Chief Minister appears for the next summons or not. A big thanks for our guests for joining us. The hard facts on the other side.
Co-powered by
both the Chief Ministers of Delhi and Punjab, and there are a lot of people who will be waiting to hear them. So on that ground, on the ground of electioneering, Arvind Kejriwal has sought more time from ED, but whether he will be given more time, whether fresh summons will be issued to him, that suspense remains. In the past also, we have seen Chief Ministers like Chief Minister of Jharkhand, Hemant Soren, not appearing on the first day of summon and asking for more time. And the ED usually under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act does give you 3 chances. But in this case, we are still waiting for a confirmation either from Aam Aadmi Party or from the Enforcement Directorate to tell us clearly if Arvind Kejriwal will ultimately not appear before the Enforcement Directorate on November 2nd post 11 am. Now, why does ED really want to question Arvind Kejriwal? The questioning is likely on 3 fronts. This is the first time he'll appear before the ED. Earlier in April this year, he had answered questions of Central Bureau of Investigation in the same case. But ED wants to have Kejriwal to answer 3-point questionnaire. Number 1, is the Aam Aadmi Party the real beneficiary of the liquor policy scam? That is the charge that the ED has made in the Supreme Court also during the bail hearing of Manish Sisodia. They have even said that we are legally looking at the option of making Aam Aadmi Party a party in the charge sheet, because the ultimate beneficiary, the proceeds of the crime went into the party coffer, and that was utilized allegedly to fight the elections in Goa and perhaps in Punjab also. So the first question for Kejriwal would be, is he aware that the party of which he is the national convener, that party's coffers were receiving ill-gotten money from this alleged corruption? That will be question number 1, point number 1 that Kejriwal will be asked to clarify. Point number 2 could be, why is it that in various conversations with the accused, for example, Mr. Nair, who's a key accused, who's an aide of Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Sisodia, multiple witnesses have confirmed that Mr. Nair in his conversation, FaceTime conversations, have connected accused of Indospirit, Sameer Mahindru, with Mr. Kejriwal, where Arvind Kejriwal said that Nair was his man, Vijay Nair was his man. So why did he say so? Was he aware that Vijay Nair was negotiating with the South Group and promising them that in lieu of money, hundreds of crores, the policy of Delhi liquor will be tweaked? Was Mr. Kejriwal aware of that? The third thing is that some witnesses have quoted, in the case of Amandeep Dahal, another accused in this case, it has been said by the Enforcement Directorate that Arvind Kejriwal at one point said that 100 crore is required by